Yeah, so I got tragic news for everyone. I know you were really hyped and you guys wanted to play The Last of Us Online. Unfortunately, however, the game is going to be cancelled. I assume that they need all hands on deck for, I guess, like another Last of Us 2 remake or a remaster or whatever. Apparently they realize that many of you, see, like they know what you were thinking. Many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we're calling The Last of Us Online. There is no easy way to say this. We made the incredible difficult decision to stop development of that game. We know that this news is going to be heartbreaking. It's like finding out your uncle died or some shit. But the Last of Us factions community is going to be completely distraught. We're equally crushed at the studio as we were working forward to putting it in your hands when we wanted to share with you some background of how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on of The Last of Us Part 2. Crafting an experience we felt unique had a tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were more enthusiastic. However, wrapping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all of our resource studios behind it, and it would be severely impacting the development of future single-player games. See, I told you, it's the fucking remakes. Like, the remasters, they needed all the resources. So we had two paths in front of us, becoming solely live service game studio or continue with the Naughty Dog heritage. Um, my God, like, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, like, did anyone even want a multiplayer of The Last of Us? Like, is it something that you feel like you've already played before? These individuals, they forget why The Last of Us was so good to begin with. And I'll tell you, because a lot of individuals, like, don't get it. It's like, why did people like The Last of Us 1? Why is it such a great game? I mean, I'm playing The Last of Us 1. It looks kind of meh, like it doesn't stand out. I will tell you why, though, because I've been there, okay? Like, I remember playing when the game first came out. So, the game doesn't, like, look that different than other games that came before it. I mean, it has, like, a couple of stealth sections, and it's got, some satisfying third-person shooting mechanics. They're not like amazing, but they're good, right? So why is it? Well, the reason why The Last of Us was so good is that it did something which was quite innovative for its time. The enemies got to talk to you constantly, and it caused immersion. Like, up until that point, you had a lot of third-person games which were shooter-based. But it was kind of like, like Agent, like Hitman, right? Like, or Splinter Cell. Like, you go around and maybe you have, like, some individuals that are having a dialogue, and if you don't interrupt them, they're going to finish their dialogue. But that was pretty much it. When you were engaging in combat, the enemies wouldn't talk to you. And, it felt gamey. I mean, it felt like you're playing a video game, which was fine. But then comes The Last of Us, and as you're fighting the enemies, they're actually talking with you during the combat. And they're acknowledging the stuff you're doing. So, like, for example, if you're climbing a couple of stairs, the enemies would be like, oh, she's by the stairs, right? And that type of thing created a lot of immersion. So what it did is, well, it actually innovated. It brought something new to the gaming market. Like, up until that point, and I'm pretty sure there must have been other games that tried to do this before, but The Last of Us did it so well that I genuinely remember it. And it was like such a pleasurable experience when you got to play it and the world felt alive. Of course, if you play it now, it feels kind of boring and lame because, now almost every single game does that. Like almost every single game, if you play Tomb Raider, for instance, the enemies do the same. Like, they will call out, like, where you're at. It's like, oh, she's by the red barrels or she's climbing the stairs. And they will actually talk and try to interact with you during combat. But again, like, this was one of the first games that did it, and that's why it stood out. So my point is that the reason these games were good and why they keep cannibalizing these IPs over and over again is because what these games did is, like, they brought something new to the table. Just like Warcraft 3, it was one of the first games that decided to have RPG features in a real-time strategy. But nowadays, nothing brings something new. So when I hear it's like Last of Us 2 Online, I'm like, It's going to be shit, isn't it? It's going to be like the same type of game that you probably played before. It's going to be like a Resident Evil type of mercenaries or something like that. Like it's not going to bring up anything new. There is no more creativity. There is no more innovativity. Instead of like gaming as an art, it's more like dataism, right? It's like you're looking at data. You're looking at some people that stay in a room and they play video games, and you're wondering, it's like, okay, how can I manufacture something? How can I mass produce something that those people are guaranteed to like? But before, it used to be like, okay, what type of game I would like to play, right? Like, I as a game developer, what would I like to play? What would I enjoy playing? And when you think like that, you end up creating something that not only you enjoy, but it so happens that other people like it as well. And that's how you actually created those franchises that were innovative. But nowadays, the problem is like most people who greenlight the video games, they're middle management, the HR types, and they don't play video games. They don't give a shit. Like, they're corporate people. So they don't even listen when they get like their own developers or their own customers giving feedback. They look at statistics and they look at charts and they go like, okay, so what sold this year? Oh, well, this year apparently what sold is a third-person shooter that has like some stealth elements. And what else sold? It's like, oh, this other game, it's like an RPG and you get the experience and level up. Okay, well, let's not mash them together. Like, the data shows that if we mash these things together and we make it under a popular IP, and what's going to happen is that the people that play RPGs are going to join in, and the people that like the IP are going to join it, and the people who like third person. And this is why, like, almost every single game looks the same. To some extent. Like the idea that you're playing a third person game that has, like, some basic bitch inventory crafting system with some lame leveling mechanic that forces you to grind. That's why all the games look like that. I mean, I want you to remember how Batman Arkham Asylum looked, okay? And then how Batman Arkham Knights looked. And you will notice that Arkham Knights is dataism to its core. It's like, okay, well, now, instead of, like, Batman sneaking around and like, trying to be stealthy because a man with a gun can kill him easily, now it's like, all right, well, we have multiplayer, we do have, like, some form of stealth, but it's not required. And you have a level up system, so if you're out leveling the guy with the machine gun, then he's not going to be any threat to you. And this is what happens. Like, this is why the gaming industry right now is stagnant, bland, and boring. They don't care about creativity. So when I see that another game which didn't even interest me, it's like Last of Us Online getting canceled, I don't fucking care. It's like, it's probably the same game that I've played up until now. It's just like you're going to have like a Last of Us theme to it. You're going to just reskin it. It's Resident Evil Mercenaries probably given a reskin, a repaint with a different engine. I'm not interested. But, let me know what you guys think about this. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.